side lane threat. BLG are very much drafting towards the team fight. They're thinking about Seraphine in support. I think it could be great into the Braum Bard, a very similar pickup, a lot of threat around the map, but you know, they're going to go back to try and true sticking to that team fight style. You need to have really good CC for this Skarner and Rumble combination, and they have that in spades. So much team fighting here drafted for BLG.
They have so much power if they can start to lock people down. You put that equalizer down, the follow-up with the Magnet Storm with Silas coming in as well, stealing away a Fate Sealed from the Yone. You just have so much AoE. T1 on the other hand, don't quite have that full teamfight power. Honestly, I really love this approach from BLG in game one. I feel like that they got everything that they wanted. Jun has been playing a ton of Skarner. Knight has had his Silas consistently banned away from him, and into this composition, I think there's a lot of great ultimates to Steve.
Some confidence coming in here. That is the one big question in Worlds Finals. Pressure at the highest that it can possibly be in the entire year, and they are ready to meet that challenge.
This is what we all asked for. The crown heavy on the heads of T1, not just with their own expectations, but also the expectations of the LCK, of their families. BLG trying to reignite the LPL after they've had 3 years without a Worlds title. And it's 5 games of glory, I hope, as we get into game one here. Elk and On, looking for Gumayusi. Knight coming in from the side as well. Will land the abscond, abduct. Gumayusi still holding on to that flash. Crash down, locks him up. He flashes the ignite, sticking, and BLG strike first.
What a sneaky move there. Knight on the Silas, able to slip over and get behind the red buff to come from the other side. Take down Guma, take down the Caitlyn that is supposed to have some pushing ability.
They get the flash out from Guma, a very valuable summoner spell in the early game. Jun could set his sights on the bot side of the map. Remember, the thing about Caitlyn is you want to be lane dominant, you want to be leveraging the strength, which is going to be harder to do now that you've conceded that summoner. Knight debuting here with the Silas in game one of this series, and I mean, off to a confident start.
Importantly, Elk did flash as well, so he doesn't have that same summoner on his side of that AD carry matchup. Looks like it's going to be normal lanes. No lane swaps coming out from either of these teams. Shun wasn't spotted on his initial pathing. Ona will be spotted when he goes over to the Razorbeaks, as there is a ward waiting for him there.
Yep, both junglers going to head full clears down to the bottom side of the map. One thing we've seen a lot in T1 games as well is Keria specifically roaming mid to Faker, especially in these melee matchups. You know, getting time for the Braum is going to be more difficult now that they lost Guma's flash early. They're getting pushed in. Elk and On are not going to let him have any free roam timers.
I mean, they're certainly not. You can see the strength of the Ashe in the early laning phase, getting that early level 2 as well. And I mean, when you make that point about Carrier as well, usually he does that on things like the Bard, like the Pike, Rakan, Renata. On the Braum, it's going to be much harder to do.
It's why you love to see really good level 1 prep coming into series as big as this. Because Elk, starting with the First Blood, the extra longsword in your inventory just feels so good and completely changes how the early map looks in this matchup.
Now BLG have already dropped pings down onto Ona. They know that he's on the bot side of his map, and the risk of a dive is very real. With Faker's pressure in the mid lane, it's going to be hard for Knight to potentially roam down and look for a dive alongside his jungler, but Jun already sending his sights on the bot lane play. We'll see. With TPs available, there's always the possibility. Notice as well, Zeus walking back to top lane, has the TP available in the event of an early play.
Good timing here from Shun to come down and place the ward early so that Elk and On can continue applying pressure on the bottom side before going back for his Gromp.
Because that's what if you want, if you're BLG, you want to be able to continually harass Guma and Keria down in this lane, have them in a position where they are either looking for CS or eating your damage, and hopefully both for BLG. On there, crashing down out, Gumayusi and Keria have been able to hold the wave just outside of their tower range.
You get the earlier recall there for Owner because he doesn't want to try and contest the bottom side Scuttle Crab because of the pushing bottom lane. So wants to trade, wants to get the top side one for himself. It's going to be a little bit annoying that Bin also on the Rumble is pushing up, and Bin is going down to check out that Scuttle.
In terms of early skirmishes, you can see how the Yone is often able to get those advantages in the 1v1, but Knight doing a fantastic job in terms of farm. Has that slight lead over Faker. Going to commit the TP towards mid lane, having grabbed a few early items. Remember, you've always got to remember, Knight famous for his Mejai's purchase on pretty much every champion that he's plays. Only the Dark Seal for now, but depending on how well the game is going, he may very well look to upgrade that item.
So let's talk about how the game might go from here. We're only 4 minutes in, but we do often, in about the next 30 seconds to 40 seconds, see that swap for grubs. Knight and Faker trading in the mid lane. Faker down to half HP. He'll snap back to his soul. And overall, the trade even-ish, but slightly in Knight's favor.
People have gone wild for how confident Faker has been in laning at this tournament, and him eing in there, taking the trade that Knight offers as he goes straight for it. Faker as well, you know, it's one of the big things with T1 heading into this tournament. His lane phase was not great in the LCK.
Zeus has to flash away. Shun looks for more, and BLG have found two.
BLG's able to find it on the top side of the map. Zeus caught unawares, the wave in an awkward spot. Owner not there to provide support. In the bot side as well, Elk and On able to get the cleanse out from Gumayusi all across the map. BLG is putting pressure down.
Shun has been so good on the Skarner. Skarner being such a premier pick at this tournament. And again, in this series, having an early impact now, gets the kill himself.
And what an arc it is for him as a player. Remember, BLG started with Wei at this tournament.
So, Bin, look at all the work he does. But the hop off Bin's head right into the waiting arms of Shun. Nicely played by them. Bin really setting him up. Harpoons in, gets the slow, gets all the damage done, and they collect.
And it's a very awkward situation for Zeus to be in just because of the state of the wave. Now Owner is covering to help him get that push out. Bin still looking to try and trade as he often does, but now the swap's coming through. We know that the grub spawning in 10 seconds. On already back out onto the map with his AD carry Elk right behind him. They're looking to contest this objective, but Keria looking to match in the mid lane.
It's going to be 5 players on the top side for both teams right now as we do see Owner starting up the grubs. Might just look for a smite on one here to delay the full stack. Keria caught out though, does still have the flash and the ignite, locked against the wall for now, trying to get away. The Unbreakable is not exactly that. On secures the kill. T1 did manage to sneak away a grub, but BLG will happily accept 2.
Such a smart call from BLG, from Shun and On, to go for the engage on the fight, while T1 are split, going for the objectives, as well as trying to rotate from mid.
The idea there from T1, because they had a nice stacked wave in mid lane. Oh, Knight going for a bit of a trade, has his AD carry behind him.
Nice juke.
Faker unbinds his soul, dodges away from the abscond, abduct. Owner coming in from the side as well, but it looks like BLG just want the pressure in mid. They're looking towards the top side though.
Yeah, BLG constantly looking for these fights. Let's see, Keria's on the roam, you can see him on the mini-map.
Zeus has no flash. If they can manage to get this Ishtal's impact, can't quite land it. Zeus hops on a minion and manages to escape.
I mean, BLG continue their pressure on the map, securing 2 grubs, finding an additional kill, now converting that pressure into plates on the top side, denying Zeus as much as possible. You look at the bottom of your screen and it's just all red in favor of BLG.
Guma has been given a little bit of free time to push out that bot side wave. He's going to try and get himself a plate as Faker trades with Elk in the mid lane. Elk about halfway towards that level 6, a little bit more risky to go in like that if you are Faker when he does get his ultimate available.
Yeah, Elk getting so much damage done here in the mid lane, keeping him there. Of course, they've rotated Knight down to the bottom lane, down to that side lane that he will find so much success in. Be able to push it back out after Guma had shoved. And this is going to be so nice for the setups here for BLG. Again, their team fight will be so synergistic once they're able to bring this together. You have to think that they're going to rotate over towards this dragon. They can control that objectives, and you get to draw your enemy to you.
Got to remember that BLG have a bit of a reputation for falling short in Game 1. And here in Game 1, it feels like that you'd expect them to have the pressure with the reigning world champions T1 on the other side of the stage, with the audience in favor of T1, but they've come out and they are playing just like they often do. Playing well in the early game, playing off the advantage they have with their laners, and they're converting it into the first dragon of the game.
Straight from even champion selects, and you see the smiles on their faces, the confidence there. They're looking aggressive in their level 1. They find reward in their level 1, and they continue to force so many plays here. Let's see if they can keep it up as the game goes on, though. You know T1 are very notorious for being difficult to actually finish off in these games.
And bear in mind, BLG, they're going to be looking at the team fight. That's the biggest strength. Their composition just spells, we're ready to fight, the 5v5 incredibly strong. And T1, they're going to have to find ways to either usurp that or navigate their way around that, because they found a lot of success with pick comps, but with the Braum, Caitlyn, they're going to very rely on Owner to be that initiation tool and find good flanks or angles, which is going to rely on good vision control, which right now BLG is not giving them. Look at this vision setup on the bot side of the map. The river is very much in control of BLG, and they're putting extra pressure onto Owner's jungle.
And 9 minutes in, it's already a 1.4k lead for BLG. They have 2 grubs, they've got a Drake. T1 have only been able to pick up a single grub from the map. And And BLG very much in the driver's seat coming into this series. A lot of us looked at how T1 play the early game, who tends to be in the advantage, and T1 tend to be a little bit more aggressive in the early game, getting out to those leads. BLG here upsetting the apple cart, so to speak.
Knight has just been exceptional this tournament, and especially in their previous series, styling on his Syndra, styling on his Ahri, here styling on his Sylas, stealing Faker's own ultimate, and this pressure, you even see the hover there for Owner, drawing a little bit of time, Sejuani not immediately going over to Gromp, kind of hovering around, see if Faker's going to need anything else, and it'll also kind of extrapolate towards the extra wards around mid lane. If you start to see the mid lane pressure here kind of spill over into other lanes as well for BLG.
You're also just seeing it on the map, right? Because Knight, just then, after pushing in mid, hovered into the topside river and he's just moving into fog. He's creating that extra point of pressure, which means that Owner might get invaded on. Maybe jungle plus mid is going to come and put pressure on his jungle. Bin backing in a brush. Where has actually Bin gone? Just those subtle bits of pressure on the map that force T1 to hesitate before they make a decision. That control ward at the entrance on the top side to try and spot out some of these plays.
T1 do have the vision around the second spawn of the grubs first. You can see BLG on Elk and Shun all making a beeline towards those grubs. Trying to get 2. Obviously, when you get 4, those mites begin to spawn.
All right, so BLG, you can see they've got the early lead on timing on this map. With the push on bottom side for Knight there, a couple of those minions dying to the tower. He gets his recall into a purchase off and has his teleport ready if they decide to fight this grub fight. Currently, Faker as well collecting the minion wave now. His teleport ready to answer if they do want to throw down. This brush that Keria is standing in is incredibly important for those team fights, but he's going to have to give it up.
Shun going to try and chase him down, throws a rock into his back. The TP comes in by Knight, who just finished his rocket belt. And on goes in. Owner's locked up, abscommed out. Dugty flashes the wall, the arrow goes wide, but BLG get everything they want. They force the enemy jungler away, and they can turn their attentions to the grubs.
T1 decision right now. Do they just let Faker farm turret play?
It's Guma! It's at the Baron pit! I know it's the grubs right now, but he always manages to steal it.
Whether it's a Varus or a Caitlyn, Guma's got the skill shots to get your objectives.
Beautifully done by Gumayusi. Able to get 2 grubs at the very least for T1, so something, and they get a lot of plates both in bot and mid, so collecting a bit of standing gold that's hovering around the map right now. Little that BLG can really do to contest. Instead, they're committing towards the top side, trying to secure this top tower, and they will secure themselves that second plate as well.
Right on Guma. Guma trying to get away from this. Keria coming in as well with the Winter's Bite. Shun's on the chase with that Ishtal's impact, but locked up with the Glacial Fissure, will be slowed, and Keria protects his AD carry.
Look at the confidence that Knight is playing with right now. Every time he sees someone on his screen, he's going in for a play. And I love the fact that BLG, they spot out Owner in the river, isolated, and immediately all collapse onto him. They tried to stagger that CC as well to keep him locked down as long as possible. Zeus should be fine.
He's going up towards Mega as well. He can trade in. TP coming in. T1 have the advantage. The Gnar into the wall. On has no flash and only 200 HP to work with. Now that's nothing. Sent back to the fountain. Bait sealed. Elk down. T1 find their first 2 kills of the finals.
What a play! Zeus strikes here. Wait, Shun is trying to hold off until Knight arrives to defend this tower. Still going to be some turret play money as well as the kills here for T1.
I mean, just great awareness from Zeus, recognizing that in the face of the bot lane, he was actually stronger. He knew that he had the Mega Gnar on its way. He knew that the TP was available from Faker, and they set up for a very nice collapse.
Recognizing they had the TP advantage as well, because BLG used 2 TPs to fight over those second grubs.
Very good use there of the extra cooldowns, and recognizing that they're going to need some money to be able to fight in these fights that are upcoming, because the early item completions had already started to come in for BLG. So stops the double recalls here, and then they make the call, teleport in, I've got Mega Gnar, perfect timing, flashes forward against the wall. Beautifully done.
And I mean, even without the TP, he likely could have just gotten on by himself. He gets the summoners out from Elk as well. And those are going to be crucial as we set up for the second dragon of the game. T1 should feel a lot more confident about being ready to fight for that objective.
As you're seeing on the mini-map, though, extra gold going back there, the side of BLG, as Knight is able to push in and get another turret plate for himself. So remaining slightly ahead there in his matchup.
About 1,000 gold between the 2 teams right now. Only a 200 gold lead for Knight. Gumayusi, the only spot of blue in that sky at the bottom. It's only 20 gold ahead, now 2 Really not an advantage at all.
And gold is one thing, but really it is about the item completions.
True.
And before Faker does get his Blade of the Ruined King, you know, already nice sitting on the Proto Belt, that play-making item for himself, gives you a lot of that confidence to be able to make the play.
Right now, a bit of setup around that top side objective. You can see Faker fishing for information. Looks like that no one's going to be sounding on the side of BLG. Dragon is available, but really no setup on either side towards that objective. Resets have come through, items looking to be further completed. And as you rightly said, Kobe, I imagine that Faker is incredibly close to that Blade completion. On his next back, he should have it, and it is crucial. It is a game changer in terms of your ability to fight on the sideline.
Another thing that is oftentimes hard for, as we start up the Rift Railed here, seems like they should be able to get it though. Another thing that's kind of hard for fans to track usually is information that the teams have, because it's not necessarily shown on the scoreboard, but it is critical to the success of these types of teams that they have set up here. And so without the extra vision, looks like it is just going to be the trade. Dragon for Herald, no problem. But I will say, Knight staying on this outer turret and getting the outer turret gold himself. Again, more money funneled into this Sylas, the Sylas that does scale so well.
Yeah, notice that, again, it kind of, while T1 did find that TP play, now they're behind in terms of TP. The arrow connects mid.
Zeus able to walk away for now. Shadowing Strike will get the stun. The Magnet Storm coming in as well as BLG look to collapse. Already they've locked up T1 in the middle of the meat grinder, and one has gone down. Zeus falls. Faker getting chased out as well, and Bin's flashing forward. Faker will manage to dash across towards the red pit, but Gumayusi does not have that same luxury. BLG find 3, all of them sitting on Elk.
A triple kill for the AD carry of BLG. A nice arrow to set up the whole play. T1 saw an angle to secure that mid tower and immediately get punished.
And BLG are so quick with it. Elk's arrow snipes him right out of the air after the 2 kills with the Herald. Immediately turn it into gold. Liquid gold here for BLG. They shoot ahead on the map.
So many
3
structures
towers out of
yeah.
it as well. Yes, so much gold goes into their pockets. 4.5k the lead now for BLG.
And it's a situation where the cross map, right? You see Knight on the top side of the map, but the arrow comes through just as Zeus is jumping past. Nice sidestep from On. He connects the stun, and then a beautiful multi-man ulti comes through from On with the follow-up as T1's forced to retreat.
And now the Impale's going to land on Keria as well, and he has no place to get out of this, nowhere to go apart from back to the fountain in a body bag. BLG now 7-2 up.
Insane opener here in game number 1 from BLG. The undisputed best team in the LPL coming out firing on all cylinders. They are not giving T1 a moment to regroup at all. Faker now even under attack. He's slowed in the pit.
The TP is coming behind here as they look to try and turn this play around. Bin trying to get the damage down onto Faker here. Hit him with the harpoons. Faker dodges away with the Q3 and manages to live through the Leandries. T1 finds some semblance of hope in the bottom side, but BLG are not stopping their advance on top. Owner locked up with a Glacial Prison, and he's sent packing. BLG are ripping this map to shreds.
It is often a play that Faker, teams have tried to collapse on him on a side lane, and it's resulted in their demise. They're doomed the overchase of that star mid laner, but BLG don't care. They're keeping pressure on the top side. T1 members collapsed on the bot, but it cost them greatly as they lose 2 towers top.
And we're only 18 minutes into the game, and BLG have already opened the doorway into the T1 base.
They do lose a tier 2 in the bottom side, but BLG are in the driver's seat and they are not letting go of that steering wheel. T1 need to find some way back into this because now their inhibitors open in the top side. They do have these Hex Gates to work with. 2 minutes on the next Drake. Baron up in a minute 50. We've seen T1 sneak them in the past to get back into games.
And we said it in the draft, when we saw this BLG composition, it really is a comfort pick and play style for BLG. You look at the champions, and while you wouldn't typically in the past associate Bin with his Rumble, it has become a staple part of his champion pool. And here in the 1v1, he realizes, I think I can get this solo kill onto Faker. He has no way of getting out of this situation, so they're forced to TP to collapse. Gumayusi comes down, Zeus comes down, but on the other side of the map is BLG.
Exactly, you could see the counter attack from BLG on the minimap. They immediately beeline straight for that tower.
Oh, we didn't see
the
that!
cross-map arrow actually hit!
That's insane!
Elk the sniper again!
We weren't looking at the arrow! That was our job! Oh my god, beautiful arrow, and then the collapse come through from BLG.
That is just beautiful. Even though Bin went down, they saw the last bit of vision of Faker, of the recall spot.
He used the hawk shot to spot it out. The hawk shot comes in, then the arrow. That is sublime from Elk. He's 5-1 now. And it's just such a dominant performance from BLG. T1 trying to get anything they can on the other side of the map. But look at that explosion in terms of gold advantage for BLG past the 15-minute mark.
And I mean, it all stems from that level 1 play. The fact that they got that flash out on the bot side of the map. Elk and On had consistent pressure on the bot side. Knight was able to trade very effectively and hold his lane in the 1v1. Even later on in the lane, out trading Faker. And on the top side, that's where Shun was putting the pressure. That's where he was able to find that early gank. And it's just been skirmish after advantage, after pick, where BLG have just been slowly but surely dominating the map.
T1 trying to set up something sneaky on the top side. BLG aware that T1 do like to do this. Keria is just going to recall in the alcove. And in the end, it's much ado about nothing. The Drake up in 20 seconds time. BLG pinging it. They know they can keep the stacking going. Obviously want to end the game before they get to Soul, but if you can make the Soul a possibility, it puts more pressure on T1.
Yeah, BLG, they're so far ahead, they don't need to give anything over to T1, so all you have to do is keep one little bit of vision on the Baron, then go collect the dragon, make sure that T1 aren't able to get any sort of trade on the map because they don't have the ability to fight you, so deny them everything.
Not aware of the recall in the brush. Knight's going to catch this bot wave, and this is going to be an uncontested dragon. BLG with a strong start to game 1, and while this game definitely isn't over, BLG have all the tools to secure the first game of this series.
And coming into this series, we need to remind you again, BLG at MSI this year, they beat T1 twice in best of 5s, and last year at MSI. They definitely have shown that they have what it takes, and they are definitely showing that in game number 1.
I mean, you could even go back to 2022 when Bin beat him on RNG in the MSI finals as well. I mean, T1, the World Championship has definitely been their tournament. But when it comes to MSI, that is where the LPL have been able to find those advantages. Now, though, here at the World's first game, BLG 4K gold up, 2 dragons to their name. Baron is now an option, and this becomes a big point of contention. It's an opportunity for T1 to turn the game around. They have had some spectacular Baron plays so far at this World Championship, whether it be sneaking them, whether it be finding incredible team fights around this objective. It is a point in the game that BLG will have to be cautious and respect T1.
You can see T1 just trying to get towards those second, third items, lock it on Ona. But the Blade of the Ruin King yet to see second item for Faker. It really comes online when you get up towards 2-3. The Yone is so powerful in teamfights, so powerful in side lanes right now, but he can't even step past where his Krugs would be because he doesn't know if BLG are on that bottom side of the map. So he has to accept the pressure much deeper on towards his side of the map.
Look at that, Knight even hovering in the brush, waiting until he collects all the information. The rest of BLG here, just keeping tabs on the Baron as we wait for Elk to arrive on the map. He hex skates out with his 3-item power spike already completed. His Lord Doms, because they're so far ahead.
Elk, a player that when he came onto the scene was called Jongmong, widely regarded as a good player who would be way too aggressive a lot of the time, would overstep in plays. People said he has got Jongmong fever because he would just throw games from time to time. We haven't seen that in years. He has been so consistent for BLG. And now with 5 kills to his name, you have to expect that BLG will protect him in these upcoming teamfights and just allow him to rip through T1.
So far, his arrows have been great as well. Sniping Zeus in the hop in mid lane. Of course, the kill onto Faker as well. And it looks like, again, you don't have to give T1 anything. BLG are so far ahead, and they have so many pick tools, not to mention just the arrow, but also Shun and Ond, and they're going to look for it.
Shun going in with the Ishtal's impact, can't quite land onto Ona. Does have that passive as well to avoid that slow.
Yeah, they're just going to chase them out of that jungle. Make sure that the entire pathway leading to Baron.
Get the cleanse out from Gumayusi. You'll notice as well, Elk quite happy to solo push on this mid wave at times just because he knows the only real threat is if Ona and Zeus are collectively diving on top of him, because if the Sejuani ult comes out, he has the cleanse. And that's really the only initiation tool unless Faker is able to find that angle. Thus Ward offering a lot of value for T1. They'll see that it's going to be started off. The pings are coming through, but can they really get access into the pit?
Well, they're definitely going to try. Betty Keria is the one to face check that mid lane bush. Shun still tanking up the Baron. It's at 9,000. Knight with the flank position. Glacial Prison hits, and Guma is down. BLG use the Baron as a bait and immediately kill off the enemy AD carry.
Knight with an extraordinary Sejuani ultimate connecting to the AD carry. Guma does not flash away, and this leaves the Baron wide open for BLG.
The beautiful positioning from him on Sylas too, coming from the mid lane. T1, they don't expect it. Now without Guma, they try and fight them.
So On was spotted as he walked towards that Razorbeak pit. The Baron down to 2,000. Knight on the front line. Owner trying to get in. Base Shield goes in as well, with the Magnet Storm's already locked up 2 members of T1. The Impale grabs 3, and they're burned to a crisp in the river. The ammo has to be flashed away by Zeus, but BLG are taking everything and giving T1 nothing.
It's complete annihilation. BLG are going to try and chase him down as well.
Zeus able to jump across the wall just before he got hit with the Shadowing Strike, but now with the Baron buff on them, BLG can advance down mid. The TP in from Knight as they look to close this one out.
I mean, they're knocking down the inhibitor towers, the Baron buff BLG. The respawn time is still about 10 seconds. They're going to respect it, they're going to back away, but the damage has been done to the base of T1. And I mean, the kills are going to Elk, but the plays from Knight are phenomenal. Keep track of this angle. He's staying in the fog of war. He's trying to circumvent what Gumayusi can see. He finds the good angle. He connects the ultimate onto the AD carry, and he finds that execution. And later in the Baron, he also body blocks Owner. Look at the positioning of Knight here. Gets in the way of the engage, makes sure that Owner cannot get into the pit. He sidesteps Faker's ultimate, and Knight is just... he's spectacular.
Faker's trying to get away from Knight, but the Knight wants the throne! And Faker's been pushed off it! BLG are on fine form today, and T1 just can't keep up.
The golden left hand of the LPL strikes down the GOAT in the side lane, and BLG will collect their 3rd dragon. They might collect the entire base before we see the 4th.
Knight has had an incredible tournament, and he's not going to slow down here in the finals. BLG have steamrolled T1 here in game 1. They're looking for another inhibitor, and they're looking for the game.
Gumayusi, Owner, and Keria trying to defend the arrow once again from Elk. It hits Guma! He's got flash, but he's still stunned up. The Impale comes out, and Guma falls under his own Nexus towers. T1 still trying to defend. Zeus doing everything he can to keep Knight away. But BLG continue to advance. The first Nexus tower's down. Faker's back up. Trying to find something out of this game, trying to find some defense against BLG, but the oncoming masses are just too damn strong. And now into the wall. Baker's fate is sealed as he dives the backline and dies for it. BLG come out swinging and take game 1.
The coordination from BLG in this first game was exquisite.
I mean, what else is there to say? Just incredible play from BLG. Just absolutely phenomenal.
All right, for the TFT players, the Team Fight Tactics Macau